Hello everybody, how is everyone doing? So, my name is Kirkland and welcome to Fprl, where the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix is our event today. This track is held at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari, often referred to as Imola, after the town where it is located. It was held 2 times from 2021 and 2022, both being won by Max Verstappen and Red Bull, but the same layout has been held right up from 1981 to 2006, called the San Marino Grand Prix. The track is 4.9 kilometers or 3.0 miles long and has 19 corners, 10 to the left and 9 to the right. This is also one of the tracks that is driven anti-clockwise, so that also differs it from the rest of the calendar. There is only one DRS zone around Main Straight, which is most likely going to be our most common overtaking place over the course of the race. Lots of elevation changes will keep our drivers on their toes all the time as they try to battle with these new cars and find the limit around this very hard and difficult circuit, with the most difficult corners of Acqua Minerale at turn 11, 12 and 13, and Variante Alta at 14 and 15, keeping the drivers to try and conserve a little bit to not spin the car, as the curbs around those parts are brutal. But thankfully we didn't see that yesterday, so it might be good today as well. Today we have the C4, C3 and C2 tires available for today, and of course the intermediates and wets for the rain if it does come, which is pretty common here in Imola, as we've also seen yesterday in the Division 1 race. So it is not uncommon at all. But we are already going into the lobby, it has already started. We are very sorry for the long wait, but we are going underway. We have a short qualifying session for today because we don't have as much or as many drivers as we would have hoped. We only have 12 racing for today, but that should not get rid of all the action that we are going to experience. As we already have a few people going out on track, and I have a volume glitch. Oh, there we go. I had a volume glitch, but it's been fixed. As we already have our first spinner of the session, it is gonna be Vinyl, so let's hope that he doesn't crash into anyone, and thankfully he doesn't. So yeah, like I said, we do have a short qualifying session, which is going to set the grid for the race. Which is going to be 50% like always, and oh, okay. Okay, there we go. So it's going to set a grid for the 50% race. It is going to be 32 laps, and we're gonna have to see if it's gonna rain. Last time we saw Larsen taking his second win of the season in Australia, so he is still leading in the championship with his 2 wins and 1 DNF, but in the constructors, AlphaTauri has actually overtaken that lead. They are actually leading by only 7 points, so it is gonna be a big shot to see if McLaren can overtake their lead once again. And speaking of McLaren, we see the first guy out on track is Frantic, so we're just gonna go on board with him on this lap, as he now goes to the longest straight on the circuit, and approaching turn 1. You wanna brake around 70 or 80 meters and just attack all of these corners to get the best apex speed and the best exit out of the corner. Now approaching turn 4 and 5, very difficult to actually get it right and very easy to lock up. It might lose you a bunch of time if you mess it up. Turn 7 is a pretty okay corner, but the traction is very difficult because it's going to a uphill, so be very careful about that. Going into turn 8, as you see, Frantic goes a little bit wide, but now we go into turn 11, 12 and 13 into Acqua Minerale, as he takes it very nicely. Doesn't track extend, which could lose you a bunch of time because there are a bunch of sausage curbs all around that section of the track, as he also takes Variante Alta chicane very nicely. You don't really want to hug the curbs too much because your car is gonna be flying, and we saw Leclerc in real life, you can really lose it and just crash into the barrier. As he now approaches the penultimate corner, as he is actually going to stop with his lap, so he's not gonna be finishing it unfortunately, but he is gonna go into the pit lane, change for fresh tires and go once again. But the next guy to cross the line is gonna be Moses, who is going to set a lap time of a 1:17.8, currently the provisional pole, but that is quickly beaten by Polar Saver in the Williams with a 1:17.7. So, congratulations to him, but it's not gonna last, as Evis in the Alpha Tauri has taken a 1:16.4, as Larsen very quickly beats that lap time with a 1:15.6, the first guy in the 15s. We saw yesterday in Division 1 quite a few people actually going into the 15s, so that is already showing that Larsen has pretty good pace around this track and is going to be one of the fastest and presumably already on to take the win. But F1 is unpredictable, and that is why we love this sport. And we will have to see if he is going to DNF like in Jeddah after there was a safety car glitch. Only for him it stayed out on track, and we still don't know why that actually happened, but Codemasters makes games buggy, so that is probably the cause of it. As we are now on board with J Rose, his first race was actually yesterday in Division 1, which was was cut pretty shortly in the first laps, as he DNF'd going into the first couple of turns on lap 5 or 6, I think, if I remember correctly, with the rain. So pretty unlucky there, but let's see how his pace is gonna develop here in Division 2, as he is going to be P4 at the moment, so a pretty okay lap time, but still half of the grid hasn't set lap time yet, so we still don't know what the best pace is going to be. Ollie Horwood also reserving for today, a Division 2 driver who is going to be driving for Ferrari for today. We also have, I think, a few more people. I think Moses actually is reserving, as well as J Rose, and I think someone else, but I don't really remember who. But let's see how Ollie is going to compare. We saw his pace was actually pretty good in Division 1. He was right at the top in qualifying 3, so I think he will have the pace to be right here, at least at the front of the grid, on the front row, as he is at this moment. A 1:16.1 will secure that. But it is still not over. There is still a lot of time for the drivers to go ahead, to go into the pit lane, set low fuel, and just put new and fresh tires, as we still have 11 minutes remaining in the session. So not a lot, but still quite a bit. As we see Person spinning right after Aqua Minerale turn 15, presumably loss of traction, very easy to actually do that, but thankfully no damage caused to his car by looking at it, so he is going to be good. Let me just check something very quickly, and yes, everything is good. I'm also just gonna check the volume if it's okay. Yep, it's okay. It should be okay. So, we are on board with Person, who is starting another lap, so let's see how he's gonna do. Thankfully, his lap wasn't compromised by the Red Bull and the Williams going out on track, so no dirty air was applied there. He's going now into turn 7. He has set a personal best with a purple sector 1 already, 1/10 improvement. Going into turn 7, let's see how he's gonna do turn 8 and 9. He goes a little bit wide, but that's to be expected because the rules are on regular, because the rules are actually a little bit bugged. It would usually give you more warnings than usually, so we have to run on regular until the game will be fixed. But Person gets a pretty bad line off Variante Alta like he did the lap before, so that is gonna lose him a little bit of time, around 2 to 3 tenths, but I think he should still be good to finish this lap and just see what the benchmark is and where he can improve, as he does a 1:17.1 currently 7/10 off of his teammate in the AlphaTauri Evis, so there is quite a bit of time to try and improve on, but let's see if he can manage that. As quite a few people have also finished their laps. I think it was D who finished his lap with a 1:16.7, who is also going for another lap here. Let's see if he's gonna improve, and yes he is improving by 2/10, so let's see how he's gonna do, as Christian Hiltner is also just about to start his lap, the only one that hasn't set a lap time yet, so let's see what his pace is. But Moses is going to be the first guy to cross the line off of this little train of cars that is currently forming. Moses is coming out to the final corner right now, takes a pretty good exit actually, so let's see what lap time this is going to be. A 1:17.0 pushes him right up to P5, so currently running on the third row, but it is pretty close at the moment, so anyone can very easily beat that by a little bit of patience and pushing as much as you possibly can. We also have Person going into the pit lane, so he is not gonna be improving at this time. Frantic also just follows him, so he is also going to wait. Next we have D, who we saw was improving but made a mistake somewhere, and he is also going to pit. Next to cross the line is going to be Evis, but he also goes into the pit lane. So a lot of people abandoning their laps right now in the middle of the qualifying session, so they are presumably just going to wait until the final few moments, as Vinyl also follows them into the pit lane. Next we have Christian Hiltner, so let's see how he is going to do, and unfortunately this lap time is still gonna put him on last position, a 1:20.3. I don't think this is his full pace that he can provide, but let's see if he can somehow improve. Next we have Moses again, who is not improving 7/10 actually from his time, so he is just going to go into the pit lane. Ollie Horwood is gonna start his lap very soon. Starry is gonna cross the line, a 1:17.1 pushes him to P7, as well as Larsen has also finished his lap but not improved, as he is doing another one. But let's go on board with Ollie Horwood, the Division 3 driver, or Division 2 driver actually, reserving for Division 3, currently racing for Ferrari as a reserve, so let's see how his pace is gonna be. I think he was in the 15s in the Division 1 race where he also reserved, so let's see if he's going to be able to get that same pace again, as he is already improving by 68 thousandths of a second going into turn 7 and finishing sector 1. So let's see how much time he's actually going to gain going everywhere else, as he cuts turn 8 and 9 like everyone else, which will gain you a little bit of time as he runs wide at Aqua Minerale, which will compromise his lap and he will abandon it. And Person is gonna be right behind on a outlap, and J-Rose is actually also on a lap, so we can go on board with them. Also, in the middle of the race, I am going to have to go for a couple of minutes because I have some stuff to check up on, and I should be back in around 5 to 10 minutes, and everything should be good, and we are going to continue after that. I am gonna notify when that is gonna happen. But until then, we are just gonna watch this action, as Larsen has improved on his provisional pole lap time, which now is a 1:15.0, so nearly in the 1:14s. I don't even think we saw a 14 in Division 1, so this is an incredible pace being set here by the McLaren of Larsen, and I think this might well be a easy win for the driver, as Ollie Horwood has started another lap, but we do have a spinner of D in the Red Bull. Thankfully for him, he managed to avoid the barriers and his wing is still intact. There are 4 minutes left until the end of the session. Oh, as we see Ollie also spinning, as he also doesn't have any damage, so he is going to be glad that he managed to get the car out of the grass, so he can still go into the pit lane and try again. So like I said before, we only have 4 minutes remaining in the session. Larsen is currently leading in pole position with a 115.0, 1 second clear of Person, who is right behind with a 116.1. That is the front row, as Oli is very close by, only separated by 18 thousandths of a second. So he is also trying to look for that second row, or a first row of the grid. Evis in the AlphaTauri also follows them right behind in P4 with a 116.4, 3/10 of his teammate, and I think a P2 for him would be his best bet. D is in P5 currently in the pit lane, but for his first race I think he is doing pretty okay with that 16.7. As Frantic pushes himself into P5, overtaking D, and still a second and 6/10 off of his teammate. Moses is P7 currently in the pit lane, waiting for the final moments of the session to wait until the track is evolving, and he is presumably going to go again. Starry is currently P9 on the outlap, so we are going to see him improve in just a few moments, as well as J Rose, also on his outlap in P10. Vinyl follows J Rose in P11 by 0.06 of a second, currently on the lap, so let's see if he is going to manage to improve, as he just crossed the second sector and he is in the middle of the third sector. Christian Hiltner is unfortunately last at this moment, 2 seconds off of the next car ahead with a 119.2, which is probably where this is probably not the place where he wants to be, but we're gonna have to wait to see if he's going to be able to improve, as we see J Rose actually spinning right after turn 3. Thankfully he stayed intact and everything is okay. Frantic has went into the pit lane, but Polar Saver is going to be doing another lap currently in sector 3. Let's see how he's going to do, as he does go to the penultimate corner. I don't think he is gonna improve. His fuel light is also flashing, so I think he's just gonna go into the pit lane, and if he does, as he does, he will not be able to go out again. So this is going to be qualifying over for Polar Saver. So currently he is in P7, but anything can change in this last 1 minute of the session. As we see Larsen on his outlap, he is about to start another one. J Rose, I think he is gonna go again, but we're gonna have to wait and see. Starry is actually gonna be the first guy to finish his lap, but I don't think he has improved. Yes, he is also not using any of his ERS, so he is gonna go for another lap right now. So let's see how he's gonna do. D is also on a outlap, so most people are just about to start their laps, and we're just gonna have to wait to see if they are going to improve. But let's go on board with our pole sitter, as he is actually down by 2 seconds, so he's not gonna improve, but still I think this is gonna be enough for pole position. He is a second and 1/10 clear off of the next car behind, so I think he doesn't even need to try, because this is gonna be easy pole for the McLaren driver. But we still have to keep our eyes out. Anything can still happen, as we see Ollie Horvath starting his lap and just about to finish sector 1. Let's see what the split is going to be. A 24.6, currently down by 1/10, so not the best, I would say, for the Ferrari driver, but let's see if he can somehow gain 18 thousandths of a second, which should be easy in these last 2 sectors. As there is a yellow flag right in front of him, that is going to be D, who has spun as he touches the curbs on the outside, and unfortunately that caused this car to just lose control, lose the back end, and he unfortunately spins out of his lap and out of the racing line. So he's also not gonna be improving, but P3 is still going to be safe for him, so he is gonna start on the second row. D is also not gonna improve, he is gonna stay P6. Person is just about in turn 7, so let's see if he's gonna be able to improve. Larsen also hasn't improved, but still on pole position. Next we have Moses, who is going to cross the finish line for Alpine. Let's see how he's going to do, as he brakes very nicely, but he does run a little bit wide on the penultimate corner, touches the gravel a little bit as well on the last corner, and that is going to be a 116.6, pushes himself into P6. Unfortunately, 21 thousandths of a second behind Frantic in P5. So not the best, but you can see that his pace is clearly there. And the final guy to cross the line is going to be Person, and he does improve by 4/10, but unfortunately for him that is still not gonna be enough for pole position, as Larsen is still leading this, and he is the final guy that is going to cross the finish line, but he is not improving. So that is going to be it of the qualifying session. So Larsen is gonna be on pole position, and he is gonna start first with a 1:15.0, an incredible lap time from the McLaren driver, very good for himself and his race and for the championship. Person is gonna follow him right behind on the first row of the grid with a 1:15.7. Still 7/10 off of Larsen, but maybe there is some time to improve in the race. Ollie Horwood is gonna follow them right behind in P3 with a 1:16.1, very good effort for him, as well as Evis follows him right behind in P4, and that is the second row of the grid. Frantic and Moses are gonna be on the fourth row. D and Starry are gonna be on the Frantic and Moses are gonna be in the third row. D and Starry are gonna be on the fourth row. Polar Saver and J-Rose are gonna be on the fifth row, and unfortunately for Vinyl and Hiltner, they are going to start last on the sixth row. And unfortunately for Hiltner, he is 3 seconds off of the pole time, so I don't think that points are really going to be a consideration for the Mercedes. He is only going to have to hope that there are going to be 2 retirements in the race, and hopefully one of them is not going to be him. Because if we do have 2 retirements, there is a secure chance that you are going to be in the points if you finish 90% of the race. But saying that, we do have dry running, so no rain like in Division 1, so I think strategies are going to be pretty straightforward. Most people are probably going to start on mediums, go to softs to the end, or hards in the middle of the race, try to do an undercut, and to see if that is actually going to be beneficial later on. With the tire wear, the softs usually do wear quite a bit, and if some of the guys do want to go for those, they really just need to be careful how they do, as Larsen is the only guy to start on hards, as Frantic is gonna start on softs. So both of the McLarens running very different strategies, and everyone else is on the mediums, so we're gonna have to wait and see how they are going to do. But by this point you can see that Larsen is mainly going to do a soft or hard to soft strategy, which could be very beneficial, but he is probably going to lose a position to Person and maybe Oli going into turn 1, because those hards are going to be very hard to heat up, so his start is going to be pretty bad. But of course we're gonna have to wait and see when the formation lap is going to be over. So as we watch Larsen leading this formation lap, I would just like to say thank you to our sponsors Skull Candy and GoPro for sponsoring today's stream, because this stream would not have been possible without them. Their links are on the main page of FPRL Twitch. You can check them out, maybe buy something. Their products are pretty good, so you can check them out. So again, thank you for the sponsorship, we really do appreciate it. And yeah, formation lap is an immersive, so every one of these drivers needs to put themselves on the grid. The AI doesn't take over like on previous games. You need to set yourself up to the grid, and if you overshoot it or undershoot it, your car is going to be way off of the optimal starting position. So you usually want to get it on the green or the purple, and you're gonna be fine. And then the other thing is about the starts. Starts are pretty difficult to get here on this game, as we see some people getting eliminated, like I said. Larsen, Ollie, and Frantic, Starry as well, following them with the disqualifications. They are going to be at a big disadvantage at the start of the race. But speaking of the race, we are starting. We have 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And we are underway for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix for Division 3. Looks like Larsen has got a pretty good start as of now, but Frantic has managed to improve way too many positions, going from P5 to P2, which is securing a 1-2 for McLaren. But we already have Evis on the middle of the track, causing a big collision between himself, Starry, and D right behind, as we have Moses and Ollie Horvath running side by side into turn 6, but thankfully they left each other room so they could get by that corner, so everything was taken away safely. But we already have a Williams off of the track, which is going to be vinyl, unfortunately for him. He is already in last position, starting from 8th. But Ollie, I think, has lost the most positions, starting P3 to P5, but it could also be Eves with his first lap incident going into turn 1, as Ollie trying to go for a move down the inside of Moses, but Moses cuts the corner quite a bit, and Ollie unfortunately doesn't have a lot to overtake with, but I think Moses got an illegal overtake because of that, so he had to give the place back to the Ferrari driver. So Ollie trying to just capitalize on his mistake, but Moses is still very close behind, using all of the slipstream and the DRS that he has on his disposal. But they still go side by side going into turn 1. Let's see if they are going to make any more contact. They leave each other room so nicely, and you can see the respect between the two drivers as they are still going to run side by side into turn 4, as there was a little bit of a contact with Moses and Ollie's rear right tire, as there was contact again with Ollie's diffuser. I don't know how Moses isn't getting any damage by that, but that is only gonna be good for him. But speaking of this battle, we also have people behind both of the McLarens still leading 1 and 2. Frantic getting a very good start of the race with those softs, and already improving 3 positions, and just trying to defend off person, which he is already out of the DRS zone, or DRS range, which is 1 second. But this battle is still happening between Moses and Ollie, but you also see cars behind, with Christian Hiltner losing the back end of his car right after Aqua Minerale, which he is also going to be under pressure now by his teammate. I think he should let him through. We saw Christian's pace wasn't very good in qualifying, so J Rose should just try and overtake him as soon as he possibly can. But we are also gonna see a battle for the lead. Frantic just very quickly getting the time to his teammate, so you can see the difference between the tires, softs and hards. Currently at this time, as you see, Larsen making a little bit of a mistake going into turn 6, running a little bit wide, and getting some gravel into his tires. Thankfully doesn't compromise him too much, but still Frantic is just following him right behind, and I think we might see a move happening going into turn 1 with the DRS being enabled this lap, but we are of course going to have to wait and see what is going to happen. Moses has lost quite a bit of time to Ollie right in front of him, but now he is going to be under pressure from the 2 Mercedes, as he does make a mistake, but not as big of a mistake as Christian Hiltner, and thankfully everyone does avoid the Mercedes in the middle of the track, and everything was well and good. But let's see if this move is going to happen with Frantic and Larsen. Frantic will have the DRS. Larsen will have the Frantic will have the DRS as Larsen sets the purple sector, as we see Moses also spinning on the penultimate corner. So that is not good for his race as well. but Frantic still too far behind to try and make a move on his teammate. Are we going to maybe see some team orders happening between the McLaren boys? We're going to have to wait and see, but they are pulling the gap 2% behind. Frantic just using the slipstream to his advantage and the tires to his advantage. So we're gonna have to wait and see what strategy Frantic is actually gonna go on. Is he gonna pit for hards? Or is he gonna try and put mediums to the end of the race? It is all gonna be on his hands. So let's see what he's gonna decide. As we have another yellow flag, it is Moses again spinning at turn 6. Unfortunate for the Alpine, he had a pretty good battle with Oli, but looks like he is not getting the hang of the car, as we see Person also losing the back end going into Aqua Minerale, as we have another spinner of Polar Saver, thankfully slowing down to let the cars through, as he's actually run by the AI, I think. So that's why he was letting everyone through, as Christian also overtakes him. Let's go on fourth with this battle again. Oli Horvath sets the fastest lap of the session, 119.2. Frantic lifting off a little bit, so he doesn't want to get close to his teammate. He doesn't want to compromise him and doesn't want to put pressure. And he knows that he doesn't need to, but you see that Frantic already has used all of his DRS to try and keep himself in the DRS range. With Larsen having 80% DRS almost. But I think Frantic's tires are already dropping off a little bit, or at least have started to drop off at this stage, as he has already lost 5/10 and Person already getting really close to Frantic, and yeah, you can see he is just losing a lot of time here. It's either his tires are gone, or he's overheating them, or he's just not pushing, maybe. I don't know. But one thing is for sure, Person is going to have the RS for this straight, so this is going to be making it easier. As he already goes into the pit lane, that is really early for Frantic here. Let's actually see if he has any damage to his car, or if he just went by his own, if the softs really wear out that much. And yeah, the softs just wear out that much. He does go to mediums, so presumably he's going to be doing a 2-stop, because I don't think mediums are gonna go to the end. But we're gonna have to wait and see how things are going to go, as we see another spinner of Starry as well. So a lot of people spinning at Imola, which is pretty uncommon actually. I don't think that you can spin very easily in Imola, or at least not in these corners. Like, the only places where it's very easy to spin is Aqua Minerale and Variante Alta, because of the curbs. So, and because Variante Alta is like a downhill going into a uphill, so traction is very difficult, as you can see by Vinyl's point of view. So traction is very difficult to get it spot on, so you can very easily just lose the car and lose the back end. And here at Variante Alta, just hugging the curbs, the sausage curbs on the inside of on the apex, that can also lose the car very easily. And those are the only places where I think it's very easy to spin. Everywhere else it's okay if you're careful with your throttle and how much you're actually applying to it. And with this new update actually in the game, it's a bit easier to actually get under throttle at the exit of the corner. You can't lose the car as easily as you could have before the update. As we see Person running on the grass a little bit, but still not gaining any time on Larsen, even though Larsen is on hards. But that begs the question, how is the tire wear actually going to be in the whole race actually? Because we saw that the softs weren't really a good choice for Frantic, so he already went into the pit lane on lap 5. I don't know how mediums are going to fare, but I would assume that people are just gonna go for hards because it might be too risky to go for softs. And then hards can go to the end, and Larsen can go for softs at the end. So we're gonna have to wait and see how these strategies are gonna develop, but it does beg a pretty interesting question overall. As we see Moses getting closer and closer to Starry, who did make a mistake previously. So let's see if he's gonna be able to make a move even before the DRS straight. But he is losing a lot of time. So presumably Moses is running a bit of a higher downforce setup, which I actually don't know if a higher downforce setup or a lower downforce setup is better than one another. But you really want to be balanced, like you wanna be in the middle with the wings. As you see, Starry, I think, not even using his ERS, still getting ahead of Moses and not losing any time. But you're gonna see Moses here just gained everything in the corners. And because there's not a lot of straights, the only main straight is like on the start-finish straight. And I think that's the only place where you can very easily overtake with the DRS as well. And if you have lower wings, you can defend pretty easily. But we're gonna see that here with Frantic and D, as they have also gotten themselves close to one another. 2/10 is separating both of them. Frantic is unfortunately at a disadvantage from ERS. He has 21 while D has 40, but Frantic does have 5-lap fresher tires than D in front of him. So let's see if the DRS is as powerful as I think it is. And it actually isn't. Frantic is not gaining almost any time to the Red Bull, as D runs very deep going into turn 1 and 2, and unfortunately for him, that does give Frantic a very easy overtake going even before turn 4. So very good for Frantic. He is trying to get back into this battle for the podium where he was in the beginning stages of the race, but we're gonna have to wait and see if these mediums can last until the end, or if he's going to have to go again. But we are already on lap 9 of 32, and Larsen is still leading the race. This kind of reminds me of what we saw yesterday with Wesley just dominating the entire race on the wet and the dry conditions. So I think this is a pretty easy win in the bag if there is not going to be a safety car or a virtual safety car over the course of the race, but overall Larsen is keeping it very clean. Person follows him right behind, 6 seconds separating both of these drivers. Person is on mediums, he does have the tire advantage, but you can see that he's still losing a bunch of time to the McLaren. So not really the advantage that we would have thought, actually. Ollie follows him right behind in P3, also on mediums. So all of these medium runners, I think, are gonna go for hards, because I don't think softs are gonna be the best choice. As we have a yellow flag once again with D spinning. Evis is in P4, still a pretty good position for himself and his race. It's gonna bring 12 points with Person's 18. It is gonna bring 30 points in the constructors. So AlphaTauri can extend their gap in first position. So it will just be pretty easy for them. J Rose is running P5, 6 seconds off of Evis. And he is also having a pretty okay race so far. He started pretty low on the grid, I think P11, we can very quickly check. P10 actually, he is one of the, he is equaling with Vinyl of most positions gained during the course of the race. So, pretty good so far. Still yet to stop as many other people, so let's see if he's going to stay in this position. Vinyl also starting from P11, going now to P6, so also having a pretty good race so far for him. Frantic starting on softs, pitting on lap 5, saying that the softs aren't the way to go. So let's see how he's gonna handle these mediums. He already has made an overtake on Starry. Speaking of Starry, he does go into the pit lane for hards, so he's presumably gonna go to the end of the session, but it is gonna be a little bit risky with the hards. Christian Hiltner is P8 and 10 seconds of a frantic, so nothing's gonna happen there. Moses is P9, also 7.5 seconds to Christian, still yet to pit. Polar Saver has pitted on lap 5 as well, currently on 6 lap all hearts. And let's see if he can maybe make it to the end of the race. Starry is currently the last guy still driving, currently, or actually has pitted this lap for fresh hearts, so he is definitely gonna go to the end, but the tire is gonna be pretty high. And we already have our first retirement of D on lap 11, and that is very unfortunate for the Red Bull and his first race. But yeah, no battles really happening at the whole grid, as Larsen is gonna get close to the back markers. He is going to start to lap some of the drivers. We already see Starry here and presumably Polar Saver, as we see Moses also going to the pit lane, changing to hards. So he's also gonna go to the end, as yep, Larsen has overtaken Starry. So Starry is already a lap down. Maybe that would be good for him, because he's not gonna have to do one lap at the end, so his race is gonna be over way sooner than usual. But we see Moses getting out of the pit lane. He is gonna be under pressure from Starry, because he does have very cold hearts coming out of the pit lane, so he has to hit them up as soon as possible to not let Starry overtake him in these corners or in the middle of the corner. But looks like he is doing a pretty good job so far, as J Rose also goes into the pit lane, putting hards on as well. But yeah, lap 13, still nothing happening, and yeah, I don't think any safety cars are gonna be happening over the course of the race. I don't think we're gonna see any incidents between the drivers, because there's a big gap. The only thing that might spice things up is if someone just crashes into the wall. That might cause a safety car, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But we're just gonna go here on board with Starry, who has the DRS. We saw that he's running a bit of a lower downforce setup, so let's see if he's maybe gonna be able to make a move here into turn 1 to Moses, but unfortunately he is a bit too far behind to try and make a move to the Alpine. We also have Oli going into the pit lane. I think he is gonna be overtaken by Vinyl. He has switched to hard compound tires, so he is also gonna go to the end, as Vinyl also goes into the pit lane. And let's see if Frantix's undercut has actually worked. And yes, it has, but it has lost him quite a bit of time over the course of his 8 laps that he has finished on these tires, because the gap between him and Oli was way bigger than it is at this moment. So he is gonna be a little bit under pressure by the Ferrari of Oli Horwood, but I don't think he should really worry about that at the moment. Larsen getting to the back markers again of Vinyl, I think that is, and no, it is Polar Saver. So already one more guy to get lapped. Very unfortunate. Larsen has extended his gap to Person to 10 seconds already. So Person making quite a few mistakes actually, as speaking of mistakes, we see Moses spinning after turn 3 on that little straight. Very unfortunate for the Alpine, but thankfully he manages to get it up and running again. But he is going to get lapped by the second driver, which is going to be Person. But 8-2-3 for AlphaTauri at this moment. It's actually pretty good. We're gonna have to wait and see if they are going to stay in those places when they make a pit stop. Person, I think, will, but Evis might be overtaken by Frantic. But with Evis's fresher tires at the end of the race, I think making an overtake on Frantic will be a easy job. As we also see Christian Hiltner going into the pit lane, switching for hards. So he is also going to go to the end of the race. And the only guys that haven't pitted yet are Larsen, Person and Evis. Both of the AlphaTauris and the McLaren. And yeah. And speaking of that, actually, Person is going into the pit lane. So he is going to switch to hards, presumably. Softs, I don't think, are the choice at this stage. And yes, he does. He does go for hards. And I think his teammate is gonna follow him just this lap. But we're gonna have to wait and see. As Christian Hiltner does get a penalty. I think it was speeding in the pit lane, as it is 5 seconds. And let's see if Person is gonna be under pressure from Frantic. And thankfully for him, Frantic is still too far behind. But Person has to worry about now are the tire temperatures of those hards. They should be very cold now, so he is going to lose a bunch of time, around 2 seconds or 1 second to Frantic, and you can see Frantic already has gained all of that time that he had when he was coming out of the pit lane. So he is gonna have the arrest on the main straight, but let's see how fast the Person can actually just lose Frantic in these corners after he gets his tires heated up. And Larsen is still not going into the pit lane, still stretching those hards as long as he possibly can. We're probably gonna see even go 2 mediums at the end. We're gonna have to wait and see. As Frantic is using all of his DRS to try and stay in the DRS range, which he will get a DRS, but unfortunately for him, Oli is also very close to him. So it is probably going to be a 3-way battle here if Person cannot extend his gap now, as Frantic has no ERS to battle with, which is not gonna be good for his race. He's going to lose a bunch of time very quickly to Oli right behind him. So yeah, that is not gonna be good for the McLaren's race. And I think he also has to go into the pit lane again. I think switching to mediums wasn't really a good strategy. I think if he went for hards, he would have very easily gotten to the end of the race, and he wouldn't need to go again. But I don't know. Maybe those mediums can last until the end. We're gonna have to wait and see. But Oli is just catching very quickly in every single corner. Let's see if he's gonna get the DRS on the main straight, as Frantic does make a little bit of a mistake at Variante Alta Chicane, as we also see Ev is going into the pit lane. And yes, Oli is gonna get DRS to the McLaren, as Frantic already showing his light. As Frantic is gonna go into the pit lane, change for a new set of tires. Let's see if it's actually gonna be mediums or hards. Let's see what he's gonna choose. He is gonna go for hards, so he is definitely gonna go to the end of the race. So let's see if this actually is gonna pay off. He is gonna lose 1 position to J Rose, and he is gonna be quite a big of a gap to the Mercedes. It should be around 10 seconds, maybe a little bit more. And he might also lose a position to Vinyl in the Williams. It is gonna be very close, and yes, he does. He loses 1 more position to the Williams. So going from P3 to P7, not really the best strategy, in my opinion, by the McLaren driver, but let's see if he can maybe try and capitalize on this. Try and wait until everyone in front of him, this tire wear is gonna be bad, and maybe then he can capitalize. But I don't really think that's gonna happen, because most of the people in front of him are on 4 or 5 lap hold hards, so they can also just go to the end of the race. I don't know why he started on softs. Like, that was a very bad strategy by Frantic there, by the Division 3 champion. I don't know what he was thinking, but it's over now, as Larsen has also gone into the pit lane, which I completely missed. He has put mediums on, fresh mediums, as we see Starry spinning attack on Minerale. Thankfully no one is close to him, so there are not going to be any accidents, and no safety cars as well. And he can just go away still. But yeah, we are on lap 19 out of 32, Larsen still leading, 13 seconds separating himself and Person. He has pitted very recently and put new mediums on his car, so he's definitely gonna go to the end, and we're probably gonna see a lot of fastest laps being set every single lap. Speaking of the guy behind, Person is in P2 currently on the podium, 13 seconds separating himself and Larsen, but he can also go to the end of the race. He is getting a little bit under pressure by Oli, which Oli is gaining a little bit of time to the AlphaTauri, also trying to save his ERS for the attack at the end. The other AlphaTauri driver of Evis is in P4, 11 seconds to Oli in front of him. So I don't think he's gonna be able to challenge for the podium position, but still this is gonna be a pretty good result for AlphaTauri, which will extend their gap in the constructors. J Rose in the Mercedes has driven a pretty okay race so far, starting from P10, going to P5, gonna bring in 10 points. And this is his first race in Division 3. His first race was also yesterday in Division 1, but it looks like he's going way better than yesterday. Vinyl is P6, currently setting a fastest lap of his own, or a personal best actually of his own. So he is in P6. He is gonna be a little bit under pressure by Frantic. Frantic does have 4 lap fresher tires than the Williams, gaining only a little bit of time to Vinyl, so I think we are gonna see a move happening at least at the end of the race. Polar Saber, the other Williams driver, is currently in P8, 20 seconds behind of Frantic, so there's not gonna be happening anything there. He does have 15 lap all hards. I don't know if he will have to go into the pit lane again, but if he does, he will probably just go for softs, try to get the fastest lap, and go to the end. Moses is in P9. He had a pretty good race in the beginning, but then he has started to spin a lot, and unfortunately he is P9. That also goes with Starry and Christian Hiltner, all of these three making a bunch of mistakes, which is not helping their race at all. But still, almost all of these drivers are in the points except for Christian, who is running in P11, also with the 5-second time penalty he got by speeding in the pit lane. But yeah, that is it. And while we are watching Larsen here, who is probably gonna set a fast lap, and yes he does, a 117.4. While we are watching Larsen, I would just like to say thank you to our sponsors. I cannot speak today. I would like to say thank you to our sponsors, GoPro and Skull Candy, for sponsoring today's stream. This stream could not have been possible without them. Their links are on the FPRL main page of Twitch. You can check them out there. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We post the driver of the day, which is voted by you guys in the Discord. And we also put the race results there as well. Also the driver transfers, if there happen to be any. But speaking of Discord, we do have a official FPRL Discord server where you can join. It's also on the main page of our Twitch. You can apply to raise there. We have 3 divisions. Division 1 was yesterday, 7 PM UK time. You are watching Division 3 today, 7 PM UK time as well. And Division 2 is gonna be on Sunday or at 6 PM UK time. You can apply to race if you want, or if you don't want, you can just chat with our drivers or the commentators. Everyone is very talkative, very friendly, and I can guarantee you are going to enjoy your time. What else? Yes, we are actually getting these streams out on YouTube. So if you have missed any of the action that you see so far and you wanna watch it again, we do get these streams the day after on YouTube, which is also called Fprl'S or Formula Pro Racing League. We upload these streams the day after they are done, so you can also subscribe to that channel. You can check something you've missed, or you can check the entire stream yet again if you missed something. It really helps us out if you do subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and we really do appreciate it. But yeah, we have another retirement of Christian Hiltner. He was getting a lot of penalties right there before his retirement. I don't know what was happening there, but now everyone who finishes will get a point, which is only good for Starry. As we are still on board with Larsen setting fastest laps after fastest laps. And yeah, I don't think anyone can challenge for the win at all. I think Oli still has a pretty good chance to get P2. He is using all of his power in his hands that he has to try and get closer to the DRS range of the AlphaTauri driver. But we are also gonna see a little bit of a battle happening here with Frantic and Vinyl for P6. This is gonna bring 8 points to whoever finishes P6. Frantic is gonna be getting DRS. He will, yes he will, as he got a very good exit compared to Vinyl out of Aqua Minerale. So let's see how much time he's actually going to gain on the main straight compared to the Williams. As Vinyl is trying to break out of the slipstream of the McLaren, and you can see he's just gaining a lot of time on the straight, but also using a lot of his ERS, which he doesn't really have at his disposal. So he really just needs to. Oh, that was easy. Yeah, that was easy. Well, that was an easy overtake for Frantic, as Vinyl made a mistake and unfortunately has spun at turn 2. Unfortunate for the Williams driver, but he is still in P7, so he only lost 1 position. But I think it's gonna be even more positions if he doesn't do that again. Or if he does that again, because he's gonna lose a place to his teammate Moses Ansari. And you don't really wanna do that. So yeah. Larsen still leading. Let me just do something. I'm gonna be back in 20 seconds. Okay, I am back. I hope that was 20 seconds. But yeah, we are on lap 25, 7 laps remaining in the race, nearly gonna be 6. And yeah, after this we are gonna run things up pretty quickly, because I do have to go once the race is gonna be over. So I hope that these drivers can hurry up a little bit, which probably won't happen. But yeah, how is everyone doing? Is everyone doing okay? I really do hope that you are enjoying today's stream and the commentary, even though we don't really have a lot of action happening today in Division 3, but yeah. I do hope that you are enjoying this even with no action. But I mean, speaking about that, we are getting some speculations here with Oli getting closer and closer to person, and then we have also Polar Saver on 20 Lappold hearts getting closer to his teammate on 11 Lappold hearts. So maybe there's gonna be something happening there, and actually speaking of it, it might actually. I think Polar Saver is gonna get the DRS for the main straight. He is not going to, unfortunately, but he is still getting closer and closer here. I don't know how he's doing it on 20 Lappold hearts, but he's doing it. But people are getting blue flags to Larsen, so they need to let him through, as Polar Saver does just that. Now he can follow him to get to Vinyl, maybe even closer to Vinyl. Let's see if he's actually gonna be able to do it. We are gonna stay on board with him and Vinyl. Let's see how Vinyl is actually gonna cope with this. He doesn't want to lose too much time letting Larsen through, as he goes off the racing line. And there we go, that was very easy, and he didn't lose too much time. He only lost around 3/10 to Polar Saver, so I would say that was pretty good. But let's see if he's gonna be under pressure now by his own teammate. And we also see Oli also within the DRS range of a person, so Oli's gonna have a pretty good chance to battle here for P2, which is gonna be good for him and the constructors for Ferrari. But we are first gonna see this battle with Polar Saver and Vinyl. It is gonna be interesting if Vinyl is actually also gonna get the DRS by Larsen, because I think it was close. But no, he won't get it, unfortunately, so he won't really have anything to defend with against his teammate. As, yeah, you see Polar Saver is just a beast in a straight line, as he does try to go around the outside of his teammate, and Vinyl just nearly lets him through, as they still battle side by side the entire 3 corners. And Vinyl is gonna stay ahead at this moment, and as this battle is happening, Moses is catching them quicker and quicker, so they shouldn't really battle too much, because oh, that is a mistake by Polar Saver. He has lost back end coming out of turn 7 and has lost a position to Moses. So that's what I wanted to say, that they were gonna lose a lot of time to Moses, as Moses and Polar Saver go side by side going into Aqua Minerale, and Polar Saver around the outside of Moses. That was actually a very good overtake, Jesus Christ. That was actually very impressive by Polar Saver. But now Polar Saver is under attack by Moses yet again. Polar Saver going very defensive going into this part, as there was a little bit of a contact between the Alpine and the Williams, making Moses lose the car. But I think that was Moses' fault, as he ran a little bit too deep into the corner. He just broke a bit too late. So that is, I think, going to be a position secure for Polar Saver, but Moses still has DRS and will gain a lot of in the corners, like we saw previously. We are gonna go ahead with this battle with Oli and Person for P2 in this race. Is Oli gonna be able to make this move stick finally? Let's see. Oli gaining a lot on the straights, going around the outside of Person into turn 1. Person is not letting it go by, but unfortunately he will have to let it go, as Oli has managed to get himself into P2. Very good for the Ferrari reserve. Now let's see if Person can maybe challenge that. This will be crucial for the constructors, because if he doesn't overtake him, he will get 3 points less than he would have previously. He will now get 27 points along with Evis. Or overall, actually, and if he finishes P2, they are going to get 30 points. So in the constructors, that can mean anything at the end of the season. So he has to overtake him as soon as possible. As well as Moses also getting close to Polar Saver here, within half a tenth separating both of them. Let's see if Moses will try and go again for the same move, as Fprl'S not defending this time into turn 1, and that is gonna be a very easy overtake for Moses, as there was little contact on Moses' diffuser by Fprl'S, so be careful by that. And let's see if person is also gonna manage to overtake Oli, but no, his straight line speed is way worse than the Ferrari. So Oli has a pretty easy job of defending here, and with 2 laps remaining, I think he can withstand the pressure here and finish in P2. But let's see how this is gonna develop, as Moses and Fprl'S going side by side into turn 9 and 10, but Moses is ahead yet again at Taco Minerale, as both of them lose the back end at the exit, but thankfully none of them spin by that. Moses gets a very nice exit off of Variante Alta chicane, but still not gonna be enough to get himself out of the DRS range. We saw Fprl'S has pretty okay straight line speed, and now with DRS and slipstream, unfortunately no ERS, I think he can manage to make this mistake, as he's lost 4 tenths in 2 corners. That's not really what you wanna see, as person has also overtaken Oli, but Oli is doing some strategies here, getting free DRS from the AlphaTauri. Let's actually see if that's gonna be beneficial. Is he gonna be able to overtake him yet again going into turn 1, or is he gonna stay behind? Both of these drivers don't have any ERS to use. Person trying to go defensive, and nothing by Oli. Oli is still running in P3, but I think he's just waiting for the final opportunity, with the last lap actually being the next lap, and he will overtake him on that final straight. His only place to overtake now is going to be into turn 1 on this lap, so it's now or never, and I think this is what he wants as well, but he needs to save a little bit of his ERS to attack even better going into turn 1. And while this battle is happening, Fprl'S and Moses still battling it out here going into the final corner. Let's see how they are going to develop, as Fprl'S again loses 2 or 3 tenths in 2 corners, so I don't think Fprl'S is gonna have anything to say about this position. He is going to be in P9 in turn 1. But let's see this battle with Oli and person. Is Oli finally going to make the move for P2? He is closer yet again than he was previously. He is using every single percent of his ERS that he has, and using the slipstream and the ERS. Person trying to go defensive into turn 1, but Oli still going to the inside as he puts him off on track. Person not leaving any space to the Ferrari driver, and Oli will unfortunately have to stay behind. I think that was pretty fair. They weren't really going side by side at turn 2. At turn 1 they were side by side, but turn 2 was pretty much person's corner, but I think person should have still left a little bit of room to the Ferrari driver. But enough of that, we are going to see Larsen winning yet again, taking his 3rd win of the season, 3 out of 4 wins currently, and still extending his gap in the Drivers' Championship. We also see Vinyl is gonna cross the line in P7. Fprl'S and Moses still battling it out for P8, as Fprl'S has actually managed to overtake the Alpine, as he made a mistake somewhere. And Moses is gonna be P9, Star is gonna be P10. Let's see if Oli might overtake him in the final corner. Person is gonna be P2, and Oli is gonna be on the final spot on the podium, so unfortunately there for Oli, but congratulations to Person for the good defending. Evis is gonna be P4. We are going to see J Rose in P5 if he doesn't make any mistakes here, and Frantic is gonna be P6 in this race. And we see J Rose crossing the finish line now. No penalties for him, of course, and that is gonna bring 10 points to Mercedes. Frantic is gonna finish P6, getting 8 points, and along with Larsen's 26, they are going to get even closer to AlphaTauri, try and challenge for the constructors. But congratulations yet again to Larsen, Person, and Ollie, J-Rose driver of the day. I don't know who my driver of the day is. I would say Larsen. His race was very dominant, and he just showed that he is the quickest here. But yeah, congratulations yet again to all of these drivers. Everyone will get a point since we had Dee and Christian retiring in P12 and P11, but congratulations yet again. As we're actually waiting for it to load, and there we go. I'm actually gonna have to skip this because, like I said, I have to go. Let's do this, there we go. So yeah, Larsen has won today's Grand Prix and has also gotten the fastest lap of the race, so he will get 26 points added to his name. Person follows him right behind in P2, and Ollie is on the final step on the podium in P3. MC is gonna be P4, J-Rose is gonna be P5, Frantic is gonna be P6, Vinyl is gonna be P7, Polar Saber is gonna be P8, Moses P9, Starry P10, Christian P11, and D is P12. Unfortunate for Christian and D, but they are not gonna get any points in the race. Everyone else will get 1 point or above, so that is pretty good, And I hope it's not gonna crash my stream. There we go, it didn't crash, thank god. The stream didn't crash, but yeah. I'm sorry I have to end it pretty quickly, but I really do hope that you have enjoyed today's stream and commentary. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Skull Candy and GoPro, for sponsoring, because this stream would not have been possible without them. Once again, thank you for watching, and have a good night, and stay safe.